Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Have you ever just looked out at the natural world and wondered, how on earth do animals actually survive out there in such wild, unpredictable conditions? Well, today we're going to be exploring this amazing concept of divine design in nature. We aren't just looking at, random accidents of biology here. We're looking at a literal master blueprint. We're going to uncover exactly how creatures are built with these incredible, invisible tools that help them absolutely thrive in the wild.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our blueprint for today. First, wisdom from the wild. 2, what are behavioral adaptations? 3, real-world animal instincts. And finally, number 4, education, morality, and peace.
All right, Section 1, Wisdom from the Wild, looking to nature for life lessons. I want you to imagine for a second that nature is just one giant, interactive classroom designed specifically for you.
There are profound life lessons happening out there every single second of the day, completely free for us to observe. And this brings us to a really remarkable piece of ancient wisdom from the scriptures. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise." I mean, think about how wild that is. To gain profound life wisdom, to truly figure out how to operate in this world, this ancient text is telling us we can literally just look down at a tiny insect navigating the dirt.
So, what does this actually teach us about learning from animal behavior? Well, it reveals that God didn't just shape these creatures physically, right? He gave them the precise habits and instincts they absolutely need to live well and survive in a constantly changing, sometimes really dangerous world. We learn that observing nature wisely reveals this brilliant, built-in intelligent design.
Moving right along to Section 2, what are behavioral adaptations, the built-in survival strategies of the wild?
Okay, so let's break this down. A behavioral adaptation is basically a way an animal acts or behaves that helps it survive in its environment. Now pay close attention to this key detail. These are often instinctual. That means the animal is actually born with this behavior. They aren't going to some kind of animal school to learn these skills through trial and error. No, these strategies are miraculously hardwired into them from the very first moment of their lives.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. On one hand, you have physical adaptations. Those are body features, right? Things like sharp claws, thick fur, or wings. But behavioral adaptations, those are actions and habits. Think about us for a second. Humans don't magically grow a thick layer of fur when winter rolls around. Nope, our behavioral adaptation is to put on a winter coat. Our actions, what we actually do, are just as absolutely crucial as our physical traits when it comes to staying alive.
So, why do these behaviors matter so much? Because they are quite literally the difference between life and death. These actions drastically increase an organism's chances of survival. I mean, they dictate how an animal finds food when resources are incredibly scarce. They're the exact tactics used to avoid dangerous predators. They govern how animals care for their really vulnerable young. And they're the absolute key to handling extreme, life-threatening environmental changes.
Let's jump into Section 3, Real-World Animal Instincts, seeing the how in nature's greatest survivors.
Science is always best understood when you can actually see it in action. So let's put on our nature detective hats and look at 3 distinct masters of survival: the journeying monarch butterflies, the sleeping bears, and the guarding prairie dogs. Each of these creatures faces a massive environmental challenge, and each relies on a perfectly designed behavioral instinct to conquer it.
First challenge. Imagine being a tiny insect or a delicate little bird when the temperature drops way below freezing and all your food suddenly disappears beneath the snow. You can't put on a winter coat, and you definitely can't just stay where you are. So, why do birds and butterflies migrate in the winter? What is their built-in solution to this extreme hurdle?
The answer is migration. Take the monarch butterfly, for example. This delicate little insect travels literally thousands of miles to find warm climates where it can safely survive those harsh winter months. And the craziest part? They don't use a map, they don't have GPS, they rely purely on this brilliant, built-in instinct that guides them flawlessly across entire continents to safety.
But, well, what if you're way too big to fly thousands of miles away? That brings us to our next survival challenge. What exactly is hibernation, and how does it actually help animals survive? If extreme cold and a total lack of food hit your environment, and you can't just pack up and migrate, how do you manage to stay alive until spring?
Let's look at how one of the forest's largest creatures handles this. Now, what's really interesting here is that a bear's hibernation isn't just a really long nap. It's an absolute biological marvel. Their instinct tells their body to actually slow down their heartbeat and their metabolism. This incredibly complex behavioral adaptation allows them to conserve massive amounts of energy, and that means they can survive completely freezing winters entirely without food. Okay, but what about daily threats? How do animals warn each other about danger when they don't have human language to just shout out a warning? When you are literally on the menu for larger predators, how do you protect your community? Just look at the prairie dogs. Their behavioral adaptation is this highly organized, community-focused survival tactic. They literally post guards. These guards stand watch over the entire colony, and the very second a predator is spotted, they use this loud, barking alarm call to warn the whole group. And because of this instinctual warning signal, the community knows exactly when to dive down into their burrows to safety.
All right, Section 4, Education, Morality, and Peace, the heroesmartacademy philosophy. Just as God designed animals to survive, He provided a blueprint for our lives too. So the crucial point is understanding this really profound difference. Education without morality is basically just accumulating facts. It's being quote-unquote smart, but without a moral compass, it can easily lead to bad choices and real hurt. But education with morality intertwines your learning with biblical principles. It's the absolute difference between merely knowing things and actually having the wisdom to use that knowledge for good.
I really want you to ask yourself, what is the actual point of being smart and supposedly educated if you just continue to make choices that hurt yourself and the people around you? True education isn't just about passing a science test on butterflies and bears, right? It's about recognizing the divine design in the world and letting it deeply shape your character. Intelligence simply must be paired with morality. Otherwise, it entirely misses the mark.
Let's move on and see how this builds into an incredible promise for your life. Romans chapter 8, verses 6 and 7 promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their minds spiritual. This is the true experience of engaging with spiritually grounded education. When you intertwine your learning with God's moral blueprint, the ultimate result isn't just getting a high grade on a test, it is a lasting, profound peace of mind.
And that leaves us with one final, incredibly important question for you to ponder today as we wrap up this explainer. The classroom of nature is out there, showing us every day how perfectly God designs things to thrive. But it's really up to you to apply that wisdom to your own life. So will you choose to just be smart, accumulating a bunch of facts without a compass, or will you look to the brilliant wisdom of divine design, embrace a true moral education, and choose peace of mind?